I have a question to ask you, and that question is, how were you prepared for headship? I know when I look back on my time as a head, what I recognize is that many of us were trained to lead by knowing. We were rewarded for being certain. We are being rewarded for having all of the answers. But I think if we're honest, we know that leadership just doesn't feel like that anymore. There has been a shift. And what happens in the macro, we're also seeing now in the micro. So, for you as school leaders, what you're experiencing is that increased moral ambiguity, that heightened sense of emotional exposure. And what that means is it's taken us, it's taken you to a different leadership landscape. The pace is faster, the stakes feel higher, the answers aren't always clear. And there's a frame of term that I use to explain this. Well, it's not actually my term, it's Parker Palmer's. He talks about standing in the tragic gap, where you as a leader have the emotional weight of what you're carrying, and you're also balancing how many decisions that you make when you stand in this tragic gap where there are no clear answers and there is a heightened strategic risk. So we have to ask ourselves, where has this taken us to? And what does it mean if we as leaders need and want to grow in our capacity to lead ourselves, to lead future generations? We have to recognize that the old reference points, they're dying. They no longer serve us. And for you, for ourselves as school leaders, we have to recognize that this is about also change within ourselves. If we are to rise to the occasion, if we are to rise to what leadership is asking of us now, we have to let go of our old inner reference points and find new ways forward. I call this claiming new ground. It's not about going back, and it isn't about failure. It's about recognizing that things have changed, and the landscape that we're living in now requires us to develop the tools to live with uncertainty, to still be able to lead, but to know what that looks like. And I really believe this for ourselves, for you as a school leader. This is about asking, what are you being called? How are you being called to show up? And what are you going to be stewarding in? What are you going to be taking care of as we navigate these new times for schools, for our young people? And essentially, I believe it's about asking what are the questions we are going to be prepared to live with? How will you stand with what's been entrusted to you, i.e., the futures of our young people, even when certainty isn't available? And as I've said earlier, I believe that this is about how we engage with the questions that arise at this time. Being aware that the answers might not always come readily, but the answers will be there. It's about how you grow, how you as a leader become more sure of who you are, even when uncertainty surrounds you. Last year, I published a book, Learning to Walk in the Dark, and it was based upon my own experiences of being diagnosed with cancer and having to learn how to navigate uncertainty. And those lessons now I put into this book, Learning to Walk in the Dark. It's not only a book for those who are navigating illness. I also see it as a book for those who are in leadership and who are looking to lead when the answers aren't always clear, who want to steward in a better future for our young people, but realize that better future also comes with us being prepared to do the inner work. So if you want to know how to lead when the way ahead isn't always clear, if you want to develop a more aesthetic and a creative approach to life and leadership, and by that I mean where I stated at the beginning, as leaders, as heads, our training was all focused on knowing and cognitive knowledge. I strongly believe that also leadership development, we can have an aesthetic turn where we can be more creative and tune into what I call the inner work and ways of being that our deepest, wisest selves speak to us. Now, when I was recovering from cancer, painting very much became that tool for me to deal with the unknown, to find answers. And I want to encourage you, if you decide to buy Learning to Walk in the Dark, there are reflective tools within that to help you find your own aesthetic turn. And again, the book is for you if you want to document your own reflective process when faced with life's challenges. Because if you're watching this video here now and you've got to the end, then I know that book will be for you, because we're human, aren't we? And we all go through challenges in life. And those challenges, again, if you're a school leader watching this, I know without a doubt there'll be challenges that you'll be facing in your school. And this book can help you in a very different way to rise above those challenges. So I just want to leave you then with one question. And that question is, what is it that you are stewarding in? It's more than one question now, isn't it? What is it that you are stewarding in? And how will you ensure that that which you hold so precious, which I want to believe is the future of our young people, that you will ask yourself the right questions to enable that future to be held and to enable that future to be brought in for your school community and really for all of us in this world that we're living in today.